Now this is a protractor. You will find it in your geometry box. It can be used to draw angles and also to measure angles. Let us first see how can we draw angles using a protractor. So let's start with an acute angle. We know that acute angles are the angles measuring less than 90 degrees. So let's start with a 60-degree angle. First, draw a ray, and we call this ray BC. So we have a ray BC here. Note that instead of this ray, we could also have drawn a line or a line segment, but in this case, we take this ray BC. Now, let us mark a point at B. So we'll draw our angle from this point. So we mark a point at B. Now, take the protractor and take this protractor. Keep the center of the protractor on point B. So we need to keep the center of the protractor on point B. Such that this line, that is the line, zero line, corresponds to BC. So BC should coincide with this line, which is at 0 in the protractor. Now mark the point corresponding to 60 degree. If you observe, you will see there are two 60 degrees written. One is here, the other is here. So there are two 60s written. Which one should you take? We have taken this 0, the 0 written at the bottom. So we have taken this as our 0 because ray BC coincides with this 0. So we have taken this as our 0. So we will take the 60 corresponding to this 0. That is the 60 written at the bottom, this one. So we mark a point here. We mark a point here. So we take this point. And now we join these 2 points. So let's join these 2 points. So we join these 2 points. We call this as point A. This becomes angle ABC. So this is our angle ABC. We say angle ABC is equal to 60 degrees. So we have made a 60-degree angle using a protractor. Now say you are asked to make angle PQR is equal to 85 degrees. So as we had done in the previous case, make this QR. In this case, we have taken this to be a line segment. So QR is a line segment. Now, again, mark a point here. So we take a point here. Now take the protractor. Keep the center of the protractor, that is this part, on R. So keep the center of the protractor on R in such a way that 0 coincides with RQ. So the line between this center and 0 coincides with RQ. Now mark the point corresponding to 85 degrees. So we need to mark the point corresponding to 85 degrees. Since we have taken this 0, that is the 0 which is at the bottom, we need to take the 85 degrees which is at the bottom. We see that there is no number as 85 here. We have an 80, we have a 90. So 85 will be midway between 80 and 90. So we count from 80. 1, 2, we take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This big division corresponds to 5 degrees. So between 80 and 90, at this point, we will have 85 degrees. So let's mark this point. Let's mark this point. We call this point as P, and we join RP. So we join RP. So this is what we get, this angle. So this is what we get. But note, this is angle PRQ. This is angle PRQ. But what we wanted is angle PQR equal to 85 degrees. So this is not correct. This is angle PRQ and not PQR. So we need to make our angle with vertex as Q, because vertex is written at the center. So we need to mark our point at Q. Now we need to draw the angle taking Q as the center. So we take the protractor. This time we keep the center of the protractor at point Q such that this line 0 coincides with QR. So now we need to mark the point at 85 degrees. This time we have taken this 0, that is the 0 which is written above. So we need to find the point corresponding to this 0 which is at 85 degrees. So we go look from here. This is 80, this is 90. In between 80 and 90, we'll have 85. So we mark a point here in between 80 and 90. So we mark this point. We call this point as P, and then join Q and P. Join Q and P to get angle PQR. So this is angle PQR equal to 85 degree. This angle is 85 degree. So we have angle PQR equal to 85 degrees. So this is how we draw angles using a protractor. But we can also measure angles using a protractor. How? Let us see. Say this is angle 1, and we need to find out what is the measure of this angle. So take the protractor, keep the center of the protractor at the vertex. It should perfectly match. You should be very precise in doing it. So the center of the protractor should match the vertex such that the line between the center and 0 coincides with one of the arms. So the line, this line from the center to 0 should coincide with one of the arms. Now we need to check where the other arm lies. So this is the other arm. So we have taken this 0, going from here, it lies between 130 and 140. And between 130 and 140, it lies on this part, this line, which corresponds to 5 degrees. So 130 plus 5 is 135 degrees. So we can see that angle 1 is equal to 135 degrees, because this is 130 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 130 plus 5, that is 135 degrees. So angle 1 is 135 degrees. Now what if I had taken this arm to be my 0? What if I would have coincided this arm with 0? Let us see if the measure changes. This arm again lies at 135. This is the 0. Corresponding to this 0, we have this 130 plus 5. So the measure remains the same. Angle 1 is still 135. So you can take any arm, the measure of the angle remains the same as long as you are doing it precisely and correctly. So we can take any arm and we can make it coincide with the 0 of the protractor. Now how will you measure this angle with a protractor? If you look, the protractor is only from 0 to 180 degrees, but this angle is greater than 180 degrees. It is a reflex angle. So how do we measure such angles? We take this angle as y degrees. We already know that one complete turn or one complete rotation is 360 degrees. So we can say that x degree plus y degree is equal to 360 degree. Y is less than 180. This angle is less than 180. And we can easily measure this angle using a protractor. From that, we can get the value of y. Using this value of y, we can find the value of x. So let us do that. We take this protractor. We make its center coincide with the vertex of this angle. And now, one of the arms has to be at 0. So we make this arm lie on the 0 of the protractor. Now, we need to see where the other arm lies. So it has to be on the 0. And now, we need to see where the other arm lies. It's still not on the 0. We see that the other arm corresponds to 140 degrees, because starting from here, we go all the way to 140 degrees. So we can say that angle y measures 140 degrees. So x degree plus 140 degree is equal to 360 degrees. This gives us x is equal to 360 minus 140 degrees, which is equal to 220 degrees. So angle x is equal to 220 degrees. And this is how we measure reflex angles, that is angles greater than 180 degrees. So we can use a protractor to draw angles, and we can use a protractor to measure angles as well.